Hi, I'm Rick the Critic, and first let me start off by saying today is Rick's View, which means that my views are not necessarily the views expressed by Pasadena media. They're my views, okay? Anyway, thank you for allowing me to come into your home today, and I've got to talk about Yellow Cab today. Yellow Cab is on the suck wall. I came in from a trip last week, and when I got off, well, actually when I went to the airport, I had to take Yellow Cab because Super Shuttle, I was too late because I just had one of those quick go to Sacramento, come back type trips. Anyway, and so I called Yellow Cab, and I mean, the guy was nice, the ride was great. I mean, he got me to the airport on time and everything worked out great. So when I came back from my trip, my decision was, you know what, I think I'll take Yellow Cab back because I enjoyed the ride, and the lady told me it was going to be $22, and actually when the guy took me, it ended up being like $16. So I was very, very appreciative. Anyway, so as I'm coming out of the airport with my bags and carrying, so I see this long line of cabs, and I said to the guy there, I said, listen, I said, I'd like a Yellow Cab. And so he said, a Yellow Cab? And I said, yeah, a Yellow Cab. And so he flagged down the guy in the Yellow Cab. And so the guy came, he says, do you have a voucher? And I said, no, you know, what voucher? What is a, no, I don't have a voucher. I don't know what the voucher is. And he says, oh, well, do you, there was another question he asked me, and again, the answer was no. I had no idea what he was talking about. And so I get in the Yellow Cab, and so he says to me, you know, there's another cab up ahead of me, and I said, I don't want to ride in another cab. I'd prefer to ride in a Yellow Cab. I had a great experience coming to the airport, and I want to leave with an even better experience. And so he said to me, now get this. He says, well, the green cab was in front and there was another cab, and then he says, you effed up my day. This is what he's telling me, the customer, the client in the back seat. So at first I thought, you know what? He must be on the telephone. I thought maybe I didn't see the earpiece and he's talking to somebody else on the telephone. Clearly he's not talking to me. So he said, you know, you could take other cabs, and you know, the guys in the front, and he went on to tell me. I said, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute, time out, stop it right there. First of all, you cannot tell me how to spend my money. That's number one. Maybe I don't want to get in the green cab. Maybe I don't want to get in the pink cab. It doesn't matter. You cannot tell me how to spend my money. So he's grumbling up under his voice as he's driving me home, and he's saying, well, it's going to cost you $24 for me to take you from Inglewood into Inglewood. And I said, okay, did I ask you about that? You know, I just need to get back to my destination. So he said to me, well, okay. And he's still saying, so I said, you know what? Just be quiet. Just don't say another word. Let's just take this ride with no. And then, so now he's beginning to talk nice. You know, no, I'm just saying that, you know, there were other cabs, and we all have the same prices. And he went to tell him, you know, so I thought, you know, I'm going to be quiet because I really don't know what's happening here, or where this guy's coming from, or, you know, what's going on. So anyway, when I get to my destination, he lets me out the cab. When I get out the cab, I look at the number on the side of the cab. I get that. I also get his license number, and I get his name. And so he says, well, what are you taking down this information for? I said, because frankly, I don't like the way I was treated. I said, and I just need to call your company, and I need to let your supervisors know, you know, just your inappropriate behavior with me. So then he becomes all apologetic and, you know, ma'am, I'm sorry, and blah. It's like, no, it's just way too late for that. So anyway, as he leaves, as he's talking, I'm hitting on my cell phone, I'm calling Yellow Cab. So when I call Yellow Cab, of course, it's really hard to get to him, but I eventually get a live voice. And so I said to the lady, I run the whole thing down to her, and she says, wait a minute, you know, she said, say that again. I said, you heard exactly what I said. And so I asked her, I said, is it your policy to direct me to another cab company beside yours? I mean, is it your policy for other cab drivers to direct me to other cab companies? And she said, no, it is not. She says, let me let you talk to the supervisor. Oh my God. Oh my God. When I tell you that was trial, I mean, I was on the phone like at least 20 minutes. And 20 minutes is a long time when you're holding on to the phone and the music is crappy. You know, you're just kind of hanging on, and at the same time you're getting just, I mean, as you're waiting, you know, you're getting angrier, and then you're thinking about the other part, you know, because there were other things that I hadn't said that I thought about that he said. So finally, I get this voicemail. After 20 minutes, I get a voicemail. So I leave a long, detailed voice message, then I hang up, and then I call back. Then I get someone else. And I said to them, you know what, I don't want to go through this story again. Just give me your supervisor, please, or the person that's on, you know, when she says, well, my supervisor's gone. Okay, well, even if your supervisor's gone, there is someone else that's taking your supervisor's place. You know, if that may be the day supervisor, let me speak to the evening supervisor. So anyway, this other person comes on, and, you know, and I've got to go through this whole story again with this guy, and I'm telling him, and he says, oh no, he says, that is not our policy. And I would, you know, would you please, so I give him all the detailed information, and then he says, well, I'm going to reimburse your money back, which, you know, I mean, I really didn't care. I used a credit card, and so, you know, I thought that's easy enough to find me to send me the money if you need to send me some money, or if you need to put it back in my account, or whatever it is. That's easy enough. So then he says to me, you know, as I'm talking, he says, I'm gonna write everything down and da-da-da-da-da, and I'm also gonna have my supervisor call you tomorrow. Well, needless to say, I've never received that call. So that is the reason why Yellow Cab is on the suck wall. Not only because their driver was crappy, but also their customer service is even crappier, because no one called me back. No one called me back and said, you know, Rick, listen, we got your complaint. You know, we want to talk about, because this is not our policy. Now, I didn't tell them that I do a television show and that I'm going to talk about them, but I am going to make sure that they get this tape, because they are the crappiest. I mean, that is the crappiest customer service and the crappiest driver I have. Can you imagine someone sending you to another cab company? Now, I understand that probably, you know, maybe it's first in line, you know, maybe because they're lined up. Because he said to me, he said, oh, the guy in front, he's been there for a couple of hours. And it's like, and that means something to me. I mean, why does that mean anything to me? If he's been there 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, I mean, what does that mean to me? I prefer to ride in the yellow cab. So my point is this, you know, it's my money. I can spend my money the way I want to spend it. If I wanted to spend it with Yellow Cab, but let me let you know this, I will never spend another dime with Yellow Cab. That is it for me. Not only because their driver was rude, but because they never got back to me on the situation. They never called and said, we resolved the situation. They never called me back and said, listen, we spoke to the driver. You have our apologies. I mean, nothing. I am a consumer. I'm a customer. You know what? I mean, I'm a customer. You don't know. Let me tell you how fast bad news travels. You and your homes are hearing what I'm saying to you today. And let me tell you something. I laugh about it because you, my viewers, are very, very, very loyal. And the reason I know that you're loyal is because every time somebody gets on the suck wall, through all the years that we've been doing the suck wall, whenever we get somebody on the suck wall, I notice that in time they go out of business. Now, I don't know if it's because of you loyal viewers or if it just happens because their service is so crappy that everybody else says the same thing and they just eventually leave. But every time we talk about somebody with horrible customer service here in Pasadena or LA or whatever, I notice when I go back that they're gone. They're no longer there. Well, Yellow Cab may or may not be there because you know what? I'm endorsing Uber. I'm endorsing Lyft. Now, I haven't had occasion to ride with Uber. I did have occasion to ride in a car with a Lyft driver. Now, I wasn't in the car for Lyft, but she was a Lyft driver and she happens to be a friend of mine. And I'm endorsing Lyft because she's a good driver and we had a good trip. We went out to San Diego and had a great time, and she was a good driver. And so I'm sure if she drives the same way with Lyft, with me, I'm sure she drives the same way with Lyft. So I definitely would endorse Lyft. Now Uber, I have a couple of friends that drive for Uber that say wonderful things about Uber. They have all these great things to say about they come on time. And then as I was talking to one of the guys today, they said that when they come and pick you up, that you don't have to worry about who it is that's coming to pick you up because apparently they drive their own car. So now they have it where you can see the face of the driver, you can see the car of the driver. And so when that car comes up, you don't have to wonder, you know, is that the Uber driver? So that's a really good safety factor. I've seen some things in the past about Uber where the guy, did you see the one where the guy got beat up? The guy in the back seat starts kind of, you know, knocking on the head of the guy in the front seat, and he eventually gets out the car. Now, I didn't hear the conversation. All I saw on the news was just the bop, 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 bop. But I'm sure there was some information exchanged there. Doesn't give him the right to put his hands on the guy, but there was some information, there was some communication there, and we never get the whole complete story. You know how it is? It's called programming. So we only get the little part. So I don't know why the guy was mashing and tagging that head. I have no idea. But what I do know is that there had to be some communication. I don't believe that the guy just got in the back seat and then all of a sudden, you know, he just starts just, you know, working on this guy on the top of his head. Again, this is my view, not the view of the stations. I don't know what happened. I don't know what the communication was, but I do know there was some conversation there before the fight broke out. I'm sure of that. I'm sure the guy didn't just get in the car and just start wailing on the guy. So that was that incident that I saw on the news about Uber. And again, you know, you just never know. These cab companies are backed up by these strong organizations, and it could have been an isolated incident that they just kind of blew up because Uber might be giving them some competition, as well as Lyft may be giving Uber some competition, and as well as Uber and Lyft may be giving Yellow Cab or Green Cab or these other cabs some competition. I mean, the good thing about it is if you pull up in one of their cars, because they have to have a certain year car, so when you pull up, they have no idea whether, you know, it's your car or a friend dropped you off or whatever. You know, in the case of Yellow or Green Cab, you know, when you come up in a cab, you know, it's kind of noticeable that you came up in a cab. So that might be the good thing. But today the suck wall is about Yellow Cab. And Yellow Cab, like I said, I'm just very not happy with the way they handled that situation. I'm not happy with the guy. Can you imagine somebody telling you that you effed up their day because you chose their cab to get into and not the other guy's cab? You know, so I don't know if they kicked his butt when he got back, or I don't know what happened, but you can't tell people, you can't tell me how to spend my money. I'm Rick the Critic. Anyway, so that's how that went. So what I'm saying to you is, you know, call Uber, call Lyft, call your friends. You know what I'm saying? Not the Yellow Cab. You may want to call the Green Cab. You may want to call the Orange Cab, the Blue Cab. I don't know. But Yellow Cab is on the suck wall. And I would like all of my loyal viewers, we're going to just ban Yellow Cab. You know, let's not do anything with Yellow Cab. And whenever we talk about Yellow Cab to someone, we don't have anything nice to say about Yellow Cab. We're just going to say that Yellow Cab sucks and their drivers suck. I don't know where they got this guy from. He just looked like he had had a bad day, and it just was all bad for the old boy. It was bad. It was really bad. But anyway, that's Yellow Cab. So needless to say, the end of my trip was ruined, you know, with Yellow Cab. And yeah, what can I say? Anyway, that's on to that's the suck wall. The good wall today is, and the person that I want to talk about today is, I went over to Harriet's to get some cheesecake. You know how I love cheesecake. And they have a Snickers cheesecake, and they have a German chocolate cheesecake, and they have a key lime cheesecake, and they have about 30 different flavors of cheesecake. If you want to get some great cheesecake, you gotta go to Harriet's. You gotta go to Harriet's and get this. They've got the best cheesecake I've ever had. I mean, it's the kind of cheesecake, and it's not real sweet, but it's kind of like when you take a bite of it, it's like, oh my God, it's like you just eat the whole slice. It's a little pricey, and it's almost like going to your friend's house and they baked some cheesecake for you, and they're giving it to you because it comes on this little plastic saucer with, you know, saran wrap around it, and a fork and a napkin in a white paper bag. Not like at all what you expect at a professional place, where it being, you know, maybe one of those little plastic containers where it can't slide around or anything like that. It's not like that. And when I asked the guy, Josh, he said it wasn't cost effective. So, but it's the best cheesecake I've ever had. It's just great. It's just great cheesecake. So if you get a chance, you got to check it out. Like I said, no frills, nothing like that, but good cheesecake. Now down the street from Harriet's Cheesecake, if you get on La Brea, there is Kenji's Kaji Kimbo, the karate place. I went in there, and they have all these little people. I mean, all these little people in there, you know, doing karate, it's called Kaji Kimbo. I don't know if it's a mixture of karate and something else. But you see all these cute little kids, you know, with their little white things on, and their orange ties, or their white ties, or their purple ties, or their yellow ties. They got all these different colored ties and belts. And I'm telling you, these little kids are working out. Let me tell you something. If you get a chance, they're on La Brea. Take your sons, take your daughters over there. There's so much going on with the bullying and all this other stuff. We have got to teach our children how to protect themselves, okay? The one thing that I saw in there that I was really impressed with is that there was some discipline there. A mother came in with her son, and she said a couple of words to the master, or whatever they call him. I'm not sure. I think she said the master. Anyway, and he pulled the little guy up to the front, and he starts talking to the guy, and then he has the kid face his friends or his peers, and then he tells them what they did, and then he tells them, you know, you are to respect your mother, you are to blah blah, because she was obviously a single parent. And so, I mean, they all as a family got involved with what was going on with this child and his mom. And so together, it was like, you know how you hear a village raising a child? That's what it was like. It was like they all came together, and they all talked about this, you know, it was brief, but it was like, you know, we are responsible, we are our brother's keeper kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I was impressed. I was really impressed. So Kenji's Kaji Kimbo, K-I-N-G-I, Kenji's Kaji Kimbo. They're on La Brea, and they just, I mean, Robert Kenji is the owner, and it's a family business. So it's his dad is a master thing, and then he's under that, and then his children, he has small children, two small children, and his little son is there, you know, whacking away. And then his wife teaches dance to the little girls that come there with their brothers that are, karate, doing the karate thing. But it's a family business, and it's one of those places where, like I said, it's in LA. And LA is become a very, very serious place. I mean, when you get a lot of people anywhere, same thing like airspace. When you have a lot of accidents in the air, it's because you have a lot of planes there. So LA is becoming it's a growing metropolitan, and it's a super city, and so you got a lot of people coming from everywhere, all over the world, coming into LA, and you got a lot of things going on. And so I noticed that even at the schools, there was a right there off of Crenshaw, that Hyde Park school. Well, this has been a couple of years ago. They kind of shut the school down and held all the children in there because somebody said that there might be a gun or something there, whatever. But what I'm saying to you, especially you single mothers, if you have sons or daughters, because I saw little girls there and little boys there, stop by, talk to Robert Kenji or his wife Phelan, and find out, you know what I'm saying, how you can get your child involved in learning how to protect themselves. They teach them not to just go out and just start kicking tail, but they teach them how to protect themselves and how to, keep someone off of them, as well as, the discipline. They're a young couple. They must be about maybe in their 30s, maybe early 30s or late 20s. So they're young. They have these wonderful ideas about, your child and child rearing, but they're very disciplined with their own as well as is yours, but they are very compassionate and very loving. Her mother, Phelan's mother works there as well, and Robert's father is there, and his brothers come in, and they're just one big family. So my suggestion to, like I said, thumbs up for Robert Kenji at the karate school, and take your son or your daughter there, let them take a look at and see what's going on. And again, like I said, they become a family. They learn how to protect themselves and to protect you. I mean, how often, I know we need AAA, but it would be so nice if you had your teenage son in the car and your car broke down and he could get out and change the tire. Not only get out and change the tire, if someone were to walk up on you, he would be able to defend himself and you as well. So no more guns and all that other stuff, and our children feeling like they got to have a gun to protect themselves. Take them over to Robert Kenji and tell them I sent you. Tell them Rick the Critic told them to come by there, and take your kids over there. Like I said, everything is, you can work out things with them. They're just really super, super, super nice people. All right, another note, another good thing. York and Orleans, they are expanding. They are not only on Locust, they're not only on Slauson, they're not only on 3rd and Spring, they are going to be in Carson, they're going to be in Manhattan Beach, and they're going to be, where did they say? Not Pacific Palisades, but there's someplace else. But anyway, and now they've expanded their place on Locust to go even further. So now it's a larger sit-down restaurant type thing. Greatest shrimp po' boys that you have ever wrapped your mouth around. I'm talking about succulent shrimp and on a nice baguette, and I just have butter on the bread and one pickle, and oh gosh, it is just so incredibly good. But I mean, they have them with the lettuce and all that other good stuff. I don't like all of that on my, I just want that, you know what I mean? I just want the butter on, because I think a po' boy should be like a po' boy. But anyway, go over there if you can. If you get a chance and you're in Inglewood or you're in LA or you downtown, right across the street from Ronald Reagan Building, stop in there, get yourself a po' boy. And I'm telling you, you will, when you call me or when you see me, it's like, Rick, that's number one. You did it. You did it. Okay, I'm doing good with my time and stuff today. So listen, I still had some other things that I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to talk as well, because today it is Rick's View. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the presidency. I wanted to talk a little bit about not so much as Donald Trump, not so much as Bernie Sanders, not so much as Hillary Clinton. You know, what I want to talk about today is just, you know, it doesn't matter who goes into office, because we just really need to know their policy. You know, some of us feel like, well, if it's the Democrats or if the Democrats are in office, then yes, we need to roll up our sleeves, and it works for the working man. If the Republican is in office, yes, it works for the entrepreneur. Yes, it works for the businessman. That's pretty much how it goes. So I hear people all the time say, oh, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, blah, blah. You have to go with the candidate that works for you. So now, let's talk about Hillary Clinton. I heard some things about her that were not so nice, and that she was just this evil, evil, wicked person. You know, I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I do know that when you're talking about television and programming and all that, that a lot of times you just see what television wants you to see, and then there's some other content with it that you kind of miss out on. The wonderful thing about public access is that we can say what we want to say, and they're not cutting anything. You get the whole truth, nothing but the truth, as long as it comes from the person, and you know, whatever the person says, if it's truthful, but you get their opinion and their view, period. With regular television, there's a lot of editing and cutting out and all, so you know, you get what people want to see and what people want to hear, and so according to media. So I have not, I'm not sure about Hillary's thing, but I can say this, as one woman to another, men tend to be a little more, I don't want to say diplomatic, but they are a little, you know, with men, you can come up to men and say, look, you know, I have these, I've got this arsenal of weaponry here in my yard, and if you cross that line, you know, you're going to get a chance to see it. Most men, not all men, but most men will say, well, you know what, if I cross that line, then I'm going to see it. If I don't cross that line, I'm not going to see it. The difference between men and women is that we don't think like that. You know, we're not going to wait for the line to cross. We're just going to take care of it. So keep that in mind when you're voting, that women are. That's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for joining in, and thank you for hearing Rick's view. And as always, like I said, it's not the views necessarily expressed by the television station, but it's my view. Thank you again. And don't forget to look me up on YouTube, Rick the Critic on YouTube. Good night and have a great, great evening. And thank you again.